Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Scoop World Order. Our guys about to be on the move. Coordinator search is heating up. Justin Frye is interviewing with the Bears. Oh boy. We might have a few more spots to fill. We'll see how that goes. We'll give you all the latest, what we've heard with Ohio State. Again, we think there's an offseason. There is no offseason at Buckeye Scoop. So we're ready to roll tonight and take your questions. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, also click that little alert bell. Again, if you guys love this show, keep supporting it. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, please. That is something that we've been trying to grow. We're getting a little bit of traction there. It's completely free. So on your iPhones, click on Apple Podcasts, type in Buckeye Scoop, click subscribe. Huge, easy way to support us and help us. Also subscribe to our YouTube. We're over 35,000 and racing up to 50. Again, in about a year, we should be there. So again, we appreciate you guys that have been supporting us, helping us spread the good word, send it to your friends, grab their phones, click subscribe on our show, do whatever you can do to keep helping us. So again, I appreciate you guys, but we're going to get right into it. Nevada, the coordinator search is rolling on with Matt Guerrieri, and also, I'm sure that Ryan will put him through the ringer to see if he is really qualified to have this job, which I think he is. And then also you've got Justin Frye interviewing with the Chicago Bears, which is interesting because their general manager is my former teammate, Ryan Poles, who was actually recruited by Ohio State, went to Boston College, never played. And then we were actually rookie teammates in Chicago together. That's an interesting fit. I could see Justin completely making that move just because, you get that NFL credential on your resume and it never hurts going forward. And I think that his replacement would be Tim Drevno instantly, who's the guy who did a lot of work for us last year. So, and then you've got the Chip Kelly stuff with the Texans, interviewing, checking places out, which again, it's never no harm in interviewing. And if someone offers you some amazing package, you could take it, or you can come back to Ohio State and ask for more money. So, tis the season. Nevada, your thoughts on all of the coaching developments that have gone on over the last couple of days?
Well, I think it's what's interesting to me is really as much as what's going on, it's what's not going on. And, as you're aware, I know you talked to a lot of people in the agent community. I talked to a lot of people in the agent community, and I'm not hearing a lot of names or a lot of things being thrown out from Ryan Day for defensive coordinators. I'm just not. Now, is that the end all be all? Is that the final word? Do they have no? But it's a little unusual, and what it leads me to believe is that the candidate's internal, that maybe they've already decided, or that he's kind of going through this is kind of kabuki theater that he's going through in terms of doing it. But I haven't heard that they've thrown out a wide net and are interviewing a bunch of people or trying to, ask. I mean, there's been names that have been floated on other sites, but when I talk to people that are close to those people, they're saying it's completely bogus, that they're just people throwing names out for the purpose of throwing names out. So I'm not so sure it's not just going to be, whether it be Matty G, whether it be Tim Walton, or whether it be some combination of the two. I'm just not so sure that's not going to be the final answer, just because what I'm not hearing. I would think that I'd be hearing about, hey, they reached out to this guy, they're checking with this guy to see if he's happy in the NFL. They're happy this guy's over here. They're happy with this, but I'm just not getting that. So that's what I've got on the defensive coordinator stuff. On the offensive coordinator stuff, gun to my head right now, could change, but I think Chip's going to come back. I really do. Now, as you said, if he gets the bag and 3 years from an NFL team with an offensive system that he wants to work with, will that change? Sure, it would. But my sense is that he'll probably run it back at least one more year, not leaving Ryan in the lurch, losing both coordinators in the same rotation. So I would expect that. And then with Frye, I don't know how sincere the interest is for the Bears for Frye. I just don't. I haven't been able to kind of ascertain that yet. So I think Justin will look around, but I would expect him to be back as well. I'm not sure how. I'm not saying how desirable he is, but I'm not sure if his resume really stacks up against some of the other guys that they've rumored to be in line for that Bears offensive line job. So that's kind of where I'm at with the coordinator situation. Would be a internal hire and 2 holdovers and try to run it back in 2025. But you know, in this business, your information's on. Nothing's forever, man. So that's why I've learned. If anything,
No.
I've learned in this business doing is you never say never. You never say, "Oh, there's no way Ryan Day's ever leaving. There's no way this is going to happen," because things can change. So that's where I'm at as of 7:23 p.m. On Wednesday night. But I reserve the right to change my mind if more information comes in.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would have lost my hind end, and it's again hard for me not to swear sometimes. But if you would have said, Kirk, I'm going to give you these odds that Jim Knowles won't be back next year, I lost everything. Because again, I'd be like, well, he just signed a 3-year contract. I mean, in January, so he's got 2 years left at 2.5 or 2.4, whatever it was. Plus, he, when you hit every single incentive, when you've got, I can't imagine that there's an incentive that he didn't hit this year. When you're number one defense, national champions. I mean, I'm sure there's something for Big Ten that he probably didn't hit, but it's like when you win the national championship, if I was the agent, I'd say, look, if they win the Natty, then everything else unlocks. He gets the Big Ten escalator. He gets the whatever the coach or the assistant coach of the year, the Broyles Award. If you're like that, and again, he's like that, and he just added 2 years to his deal this past January, so I would have lost everything. I mean, I'd be under the bridge, eating beans out of a can, because I would have said, "There's no way Jim Knowles is leaving." And plus, got Caleb Downs coming back, and best offense in the country, and JJ and all that. It's like, why would you leave? And sure as can be, like, when there's some trepidation and whatever. And Justin doesn't have a contract right now. He hasn't been extended. He's working. Again, his stuff's about to. If it's not expired, it's about to expire in the next week or two. So again. I feel like the Chicago Bears are influenced by Gene Smith a fair amount, because Kevin Warren and Gene Smith are very tight, very close. Kevin Warren is a complete moron. Gene's not far behind. But that's why they interviewed Eddie George, and they had interviewed going after Marcus Freeman, and and so they're going after Justin. I mean, Ohio State guy, he's done well. I'm not sure how deep of a roster Ben Johnson has. He's likely not going to get Hank Fraley. He's probably going to be retained by Dan Campbell. And he's got to find a line coach, and good line coaches are hard to find. And so, in the last month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks of the season, nobody enhanced their profile as much as Justin Frye. I mean, Justin Frye, who people vilified and wanted, executed, in the middle of campus, took, a group that lost 2 All-Americans. Again, you lose Josh Simmons, you lose Seth McLaughlin, which is devastating and crippling for most programs. And we actually somehow got better, which is a measure of the coaching, the depth. And again, I argued for years with people that are much dumber than I am that, look, I don't care about offensive line depth, because normally if you have to play depth, there's a reason why you don't play depth in the O-line. It's because they're usually not as good. Like you don't in general. Now, again, I know we did this 3-guard rotation with Luke Montgomery and Austin Sauerveld and Tigra. You don't normally do that, because normally when you get into that second line, there's a huge drop off. And when I played and when I coached, it was like, I would pray to God every day that we don't have to put the backups in. This isn't like the D line where they can rotate guys, and you can get Kenyatta in there for Jack, and you can get Caden Curry in there for JT, and you can put Caden McDonald in there for Ty Hamilton. You can get your Hero Canoe and Edric Houston in as a 3 technique. You can do all that, but O-line you generally can't. But we did that in the playoffs, and our depth was ungodly. I would say the fact that we were able to lose 2 All-Americans, literally a national award winner, and Seth McLaughlin won the Remington. Justin was just at that presentation, and I don't know why Justin isn't the hottest O-line candidate in the world right now after, coming after that. And, hey, we're going to play Luke Montgomery, and Luke got just demonstrably better week over week. And I don't know. And again, that's a credit to Justin. Justin is a guy who's a great developer, and, people beat him to death. They say he's not a good recruiter. And I'm like, well, is he not a good recruiter, or is he, and maybe he's lazy. Maybe he doesn't text guys. Maybe he doesn't play NBA 2K with guys, whatever. Or is it that he doesn't want to give David Sanders $2 million as a true freshman to sit and, sit on the bench? Where, you give David Sanders $2 million, like $2 million is what we got for our 2 starting tackles for next year. Like Ethan, I know exactly what Ethan got. I know what Philip Daniels got. They combined, and that's with college experience and upside, they got less than $2 million combined, and they're going to start next year. David Sanders Jr., if he starts next year, is he good enough to beat Texas week 1? I don't know. Probably not. I mean, Paris Johnson didn't start as a freshman. I mean, I've seen outside of Orlando, I mean, I don't know who started and dominated and played well. You know, Michael Jordan did it, Brewster did it, but I'm talking like week 1, start as a freshman, dominate, doesn't exist. You know, and Mike was in there hanging in there by the, you know, Mike, nobody could beat Mike out. I mean, there was nobody, I mean, it was Joel Hale and some other guys. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if he gets offered the job, if he takes it. I thought he did as good of a coaching job as there was. I mean, I said it was for the offensive line, it's the best coaching job I've ever seen at Ohio State. And it's not because of recency bias. Good.
Now, Kirk, I have a question for you. The old
Sure.
All-American, Tree in the Grove, right tackle, Greg Sturrar, widely regarded as terrible recruiter, lazy, slept through things like that.
Fat,
Justin Frye,
bad back.
fat, bad back, everything. Justin Frye, terrible recruiter, doesn't call people. How did we go to player number 9 on the offensive line this year and win the national championship if both of our offensive line coaches were terrible recruiters and didn't? I'm trying to understand how we ended up where we were with the. I mean, if you went to player number 9 on the offensive lines that you were part of, 4, really good lines, very successful lines. How good would your line have done if you got to player forget number 9? How about player number 8? If you get to player number 8, would your lines have been able to even continue to function, or would it have been a complete madhouse?
No, it would have been terrible. I mean, it would have been, because I can picture the guys. I'm not going to put them on blast, but it's like guys just weren't ready to play. You know, and part of it was, our scheme wasn't great. Part of it is I feel like the guys weren't developed, or they didn't feel like getting developed, or they just weren't very good. So it would have been a disaster. I mean, even like in 12, like with Urban, like, our 6th man in 12 was Taylor Decker. Now, Taylor obviously is now a pro. Congrats to Taylor, who I love to death, made the Pro Bowl this year for the first time. But as a freshman, he wasn't Pro Bowl NFL first round Taylor Decker. He was good player. He is not a guy that you want to start. I mean, Reed Fraggle beat him out, and I love Reed too. Reed's a Columbus kid. He's doing great right now in business. But Reed was a 7th round pick. And if he would have gotten hurt, if anyone would have gotten hurt, it would have been Taylor. Taylor would have been coming in, and Taylor, again, amazing player, amazing career. He's made $100 million in the NFL. Wasn't ready to play in 12. And if we get past Taylor, man, then it's real sketchy. So, again, the problem with recruiting and the offensive line is that people believe these losers that make the ratings for Rivals, 247, On3. And again, I know those guys, and I've been around those guys. They're the dumbest and worst evaluators on earth. They can't project anything. They can't project development. And so they'll say, oh, well, Samson Okunlola, who hit puberty when he was 15, is a monster, and he's unbelievable, and he's going to be 5 stars, and oh my God. And then he goes to Miami. I don't know if he's played yet. I mean, I didn't see him out there playing this past year. I was looking for him, because when Justin Frye missed on him, it was the end of days. Like Kenyatta Goodwin from Kentucky, who was 6'8", weighed 480 pounds or whatever. Then he lost weight, got down to 350. And, like when we didn't get him, it was the end of days. How is the program ever going to continue without Kenyatta Goodwin? And what happened to Kenyatta? Went to Kentucky. And I know he had health issues, or not him, his grandma or his mom or somebody had health issues. So I'm not trying to make light of this, but Kenyatta transferred from Kentucky, where his family was, where the health was, and he goes to Florida, and he's there for like a month, and then he quits, and then he's out of football. So again, just because you've gone through some issues with the home stuff, like quitting the game that could potentially get you paid for life is never the right move. Even if you got to go home, take care of grandma, do whatever. Like, you should still keep your nose to the grindstone and work. Now, again, I might be different. I lost my dad when I was 12. Like, that did make me quit football and quit my livelihood and make the NFL and get 2 degrees and everything else. So, but the problem is people get obsessed with these star rankings. And honestly, a lot of these people that get upset about it, they're just dumb because they don't understand history, especially the history of O-line recruiting. Like, we lost Sean Henderson, and I was working in the program, and it's like, you like if you gave the fan base an option to murder Jim Bowman and myself, and that was just a quality control. I had no impact on that, but or Jim Trussell over losing Sean Trell, it would have been 95% to 5% in the vote. We got to kill those guys. They can't do it. And Sean Trell was completely worthless, trash, didn't do anything in the NFL, 7th round pick. And so, again, I like guys that like to work. Luke Montgomery, Austin Seyerveld, Josh Padilla is going to be really good when he gets his shot, when he gets his at bat. I like to recruit some tackles. If you can go get a tackle that's played at Rice in Minnesota, which again, those guys were probably 1-star. Philip Daniels might have been a 3-star. If you're a tackle that goes to Rice, you're absolutely a 1-star. So Ethan, who got a 7-figure deal from us, 1-star tackle who's would be a 3rd round pick of the draft this year, 3rd, 4th round pick in the draft this year. He's going to play his senior year here, probably be a 1st round pick when we're done with him, with Mickey and Justin Frye if he sticks, or Tim Drevno, whoever. So it's like people fall for the same parlor tricks over and over again with offensive line recruiting. And it drives me crazy. I'm like, guys, like if we lose David Sanders Jr., we'll be fine. David Sanders could have been practicing with, hell, David Sanders could have been on the field for the Cotton Bowl win, the national championship win, and instead he went to Tennessee. So again, sometimes when we lose these guys, it's an intelligence test by him. And again, he might turn out to be the greatest lineman that's ever lived. And you guys can all come back and say, Kirk, you're dumb. You don't know what you're talking about. But I've only seen it 1,000 times. Starting with when I got recruited and I saw the guys that were ranked ahead of me, and then I saw their career and their credentials versus mine, and it was a joke. I was like, that guy can't play. Joel Haller, go look him up, 5-star, Penn State. He said in an actual interview in 2002 that Jim Bowman said I would start the Fiesta Bowl versus the Miami Hurricanes if I was a true freshman there right now. And he's my age. And I'm like, he didn't say that. And then he goes to Penn State. He sucks, which I could have predicted because he was a 400-pound fat turd. Transfers to Delaware or somewhere, never plays. Never heard from again. Paterno yelled at him, said he was fat, and he quit. So again, like some of these people, you get obsessed with. Sometimes at the end of the day, you have to understand who does the star rankings. Because I know everybody gets obsessed with these star rankings and they get we got this 5-star and I'm like, you got to understand who does these things. There are people that have never coached. Most of them have never played. They look like they're either 100 pounds overweight. No, they're usually 150 pounds overweight or 100 pounds underweight. They look like meth addicts. And I'm like, those are the guys. And again, if they were such great evaluators of talent, then they'd probably be working for a program right now, or they'd be a GM, they'd be working in the NFL, they'd be working, someone would say, damn, he's really good. He knows what he's talking about. Let's pay that guy to just give his exclusive analysis to us. And that happens sometimes. Barton Simmons got that at Vanderbilt. That happens sometimes. It's not very often. Like there's a 99.9% chance that those guys aren't going to get hired by anybody because they don't know what they're talking about. So I don't know. There's my rant on the O-line recruiting thing, because again, I was excited when we got Austin Seyerveld. I know that he played in the triple option, but he's a tough kid. He's smart, good athlete, big, strong kid. Luke Montgomery is a kid I watched at camp and good athlete. I wasn't sure how he'd do at guard, but he's gained a lot of weight, played strong, great. Padilla, I think, will be great when he gets in there. So I don't know. This is my my spiel on O-line recruiting. Because I think, and again, when we miss on a tackle, then we miss on David Sanders, but we go get 2 guys that are better than him for 2025 at a cheaper price, which is great. Because all I care about is 25. I don't care about 26, 27, 28, 30. And that's a lot of you people's problem, is that you guys are like, well, I'm worried about what the tackle situation looks like in 2027. I'm like, well, I don't care, because we'll go pay somebody. They'll come play tackle for us free, like Josh Simmons did for 2 years. And Josh's going to walk out of here, sign for $50 million as a top 15 pick, and he'll be fine. So, all right, Nevada, that was the longest rant of my career. But do you have anything to add to that? And why people shouldn't be stupid about offensive line recruiting? Because again, we've fought this fight for years. And again, I swear to God, one of the big rants from some of the dumbest humans on earth was, well, I don't know who's going to play tackle in 2025 when Greg Studoir misses on all these tackles. I'm like, well, for one, all of our depth tackles are going to get poached, and they're going to make $700,000 or more as backups to get elevated to starters at Kansas State and Indiana. So, you know, why do you get upset about that? Because we're never going to have depth on the O line again at this point. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think the point of the rant is, guys, because Kirk and I are just ranting to rant. We're ranting to try to make you guys better fans, smarter fans, more intelligent fans, less reactionary fans. And it's kind of like the Carson Hinsman situation this year. Carson Hinsman was generally like tossed aside by a big segment of the fan base after last year. Like, oh, I can't play, will never play, isn't going to play. Frankly, he was tossed aside by a lot of the staff at Ohio State. They didn't, when the guys got hurt, man, they didn't even go to, they went to Luke Montgomery. They kept Carson on the bench, and then Carson comes off the bench, and he's one of our best players. If not, I mean, he might have been the best player on the. I mean, I'm not saying he's better than Donnie Jackson, but I mean, you get my point. To step in at center like he did, and ball out and win a national championship as a sophomore, crazy. I mean, absolutely crazy. And so you just don't know on guys, and you don't know what's kind of inside of them. You don't know how much fight they got inside of them. And guys like Carson that were Iron Buckeyes for 2 years in a row and doing everything right, tough kid from Wisconsin. I mean, that was a kid that, I know helping technician was big on him, but that was a kid that I would have bet money on that was going to be successful. So you just don't know. So as a fan, I think you just got to take a step back. And when Kirk's telling you about a guy, you got to listen because Kirk knows the offensive line. So if he tells you a guy can play, I mean, I got interested in Carson Hinsman because Kirk was originally interested in Carson Hinsman. He's like, dude, this guy's a player.
Well,
Nevada,
he started as a redshirt freshman in the Big Ten versus the two guys at Michigan that mopped the floor with us. I mean, Carson, I was like, he played against Notre Dame versus their interior guys are real good. I'm like, he's got good film. Like, that's why I couldn't understand. I was like, we're going to play Tigra, and I'm like, over Carson? Like, I mean, Carson's a year bigger, a year stronger. And again, that matters in college football. It doesn't matter in the NFL as much because once you're in the NFL and you're 22, you're kind of where you're going to be. I mean, you might get a little bit stronger and faster from 22 to 26, but like when you go from 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, if you're in Ohio State's program, like you're going to get stronger, you're going to get faster, you're going to get more confident. And it was just like, I was like, how in the world is Tigra playing over Carson? And then Carson gets out there, run him to a national championship. Like, I mean, outside of snaps, which again, I've been with centers that have missed snaps. I mean, Corey Linsley was terrible when he first started snapping it, but I mean, he was nails, and he was playing against real players. Like, I mean, really good interior players. And he wasn't doing it against Akron and Buffalo and Kent State. He was doing it against Texas and Notre Dame and Oregon. And I mean, Oregon's got first rounders. I mean, those guys basically all have first round picks in the middle, except for Notre Dame. But I mean, I couldn't understand it. So again, like sometimes I can't chastise people that are, Ohio State supporters when I don't think Justin Frye realized how good Carson was, and again, I don't know what the beef was or the vendetta against him was, but that was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. And again, I lived with Troy Smith getting riding the bench and not playing at all. And I'm just like, well, he's way better than the other guy, except you don't put him in, you'll never know, I guess, if you just put him in, have him ride the bench and not do anything. So, once these guys get in the games and they prove they can play. And again, another one, the biggest one for me is Luke Montgomery. I mean, Luke Montgomery didn't play the entire season at all. There was no rotation. There was no anything. Then he gets in for the playoffs and he plays the toughest stretch that we've had, where he plays Tennessee and Oregon and Texas. And I'm just like, how in the hell did he not play all year? Like, I'm just like, what, did he get that much better in the last 4 games versus the hardest competition? Like, he was playing mop-up time the whole season. And Luke was, I mean, he'll be preseason all Big Ten, I think. I mean, good athletes. He's gotten way bigger. Because that was the biggest thing with him, is he was a small. I mean, for a tackle, he's not small for like a human being, but like for an offensive tackle or guard in the Big Ten, I mean, you got to be over 300 pounds. And, when he was at camp, he was 260 and basketball player, AAU guy. But he gained a lot of weight, and he's strong as hell. Like, I mean, people don't push him around, and he plays with an edge. And again, I like Luke's game a lot. And so when they all of a sudden say, hey, we're gonna do this 3-guard rotation, I was like, I've never heard of that before. And we're gonna like roll. It's not like I said, we're not rolling that out for the Akron and the FAMU game. We're rolling that out for Tennessee, who's got great. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the Senior Bowl, but they've got a bunch of guys at the Senior Bowl. Their D tackle that Luke was walking is at the Senior Bowl, doing a good job. And then Oregon, Harmon's going to be a first round pick in all likelihood. And then Texas has got a bunch of guys that are really good on the inside. So I don't know. It was a bizarre role when we had these guys not playing that. And again, I don't like going to town on Tigra. I mean, he just won a national championship, whatever. But like Luke and Carson are much better, and let alone Austin Sarvel. All three of those guys are better than Tigra. And Tigra was like the sacred cow that started every game. And I'm just like, Austin, when we needed Austin in that 2-minute drill versus Oregon, and I've said this a million times on the show, like he locked down Harmon. And Austin is playing his first extended time. He started for Donnie when Donnie was hurt, but that 2-minute drill against the best, defensive tackle that he's going to see, who's a first rounder, he locked him up. I mean, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't like there's no pressure, clamped him. So I was like, this line's pretty damn good. And next year, I think they're going to be really good because these guys are all going to take a step to be better. They're going to be stronger, more confident. Then you add Ethan, who's the big, talented left tackle from Rice, and you add Philip Daniels, who's 6'7" and athletic, and so working off the Charles Bentley. Like, this line is going to be the best line in the country, in my opinion. Now, again, I could be wrong. Texas loses their 2 tackles. They're both first rounders gone. So they're going to have to break in 2 new tackles versus our guys. And our tackles have played. So it'll be interesting. Any other thoughts, Nevada? I'll start digging into some super chats, but go ahead.
No, just again, I think it's a great lesson, and it's offensive line is such a difficult position to project anyway, such a pure development spot. I think for the job that Frye did this year, going to player 9. Now I'll say forever and ever that scheme is undefeated. That when you played, that you were at a severe disadvantage because you guys didn't run any constraint plays. You didn't run any misdirection. You did the old, my daddy said we're going to run right through that hole. And that's how you guys kind of attack things. But despite that, the fact that we went to player 9 this year will never not be amazing to me. Because as you said, I mean, there have been years, if you got past player 6, you were in deep trouble. If you got past player 7, you might as well shut the game down. And if you got to player 8, then it was, we saw that, frankly. We saw what a bad offensive line looks like last year in the Cotton Bowl. Last year against Missouri, like if your offensive line's not working, that's what it looks like. And, these guys just balled out, and I have so much respect for the job that they did. And these kids really battled, and, great job all the way around, staff, players, everybody. So hats off to them.
Well, I mean, last year was literally your example of player 6. We changed one guy. We took Carson out, we put Enoch in, and we moved Matt to center, and it was vomit. I mean, literally, we put one new guy in, so we didn't get down to the 9th guy. We got down to the 6th guy. And it was just like as bad as you've ever seen. I mean, people were like, this is impossible to watch, and sacks. Now, again, when the quarterback's out, he doesn't know the plays, and he holds the ball, then it's all I don't want to say it's all like a symphony, but that's kind of what it is. Like, I mean, if your quarterback holds onto the ball and you give up 7 sacks, then that's his fault. It's not always the line's fault, but when you've got a new center who doesn't know the calls, and he doesn't, and those tackles don't know his cadence and his rhythm for snapping the ball. When you got guys like Josh Simmons, who he likes to get off on the mark, like to the point where it's almost a penalty every play, but he wants to get off on that mark. So when the cadence is different and he's slow and he's giving up sacks to the guy from Missouri, it's like, this is probably put Carson back in the game, but I don't know. Like I don't know how many offensive linemen we've lost to, Tennessee or USC or Miami of Florida or whoever. And then we look back in 3 or 4 years and you're like, well, damn, like Josh Simmons is better than any of those guys. I mean, Josh Simmons he's going to get drafted higher than any of the guys that people were ready to fling themselves off the cliff over because we lost him in recruiting. Josh Simmons is going to be higher than any of those guys. Not even going to be close because he came here, got developed. Again, I believe in the development of Mickey Marotti. I've seen it in action. I've seen him get fat guys to be in better shape, get them strong, get them flexible, get him agile. Like Mickey's he's the god of strength and conditioning. And again, I say that as a guy because I was a strength training nutball when I played. I loved to train and lift and do yoga, whatever I could do to make myself better. I was gonna do, especially my last 2 years. I was about that life, and so Mickey does all that stuff. So we get a guy, and like no one's excited about Josh Simmons, 17 full starts and San Diego State, and I remember I looked at his offer sheet. I was like, well, hell, he's got Georgia and US. I mean, he had some serious offers. I was like, I don't know if they're real, but I mean that it wasn't just like San Diego State and Fresno State and the turd sandwiches of California. I mean, he had real offers, and then he got out here, and I was like, if we're taking him, he's got to be able to play. I mean, Mark Pantoni and Brian Schott and these collectives, they're not just going to go pay some guy just to pay him, and they learn their lesson. And again, that's why I give Pantoni and these guys a lot of credit because they learned from Victor Cutler, they learned from Jihad Carter, they learned from some of these guys that just couldn't do anything. They were taking these depth pieces that are like, oh, well, we'll have a extra interior guy, and then that doesn't do anything. So they've really honed it in, and that's why I'm excited to see Ethan from Rice, because I think that he's going to be really good. I watched his tape, and I think if he gets developed, and Tim Drevno or if Justin Frye sticks around when they get a hold of him, it could be really good. So he's a moose. I know that. I mean, he's every bit of 6'6" and 330, and probably get him down to 315. And I mean, he's a big, physically gifted guy. So I'm excited to see him. And Philip Daniels, a guy we should have taken out of high school, but it's funny because we didn't take him out of high school. And I would love to know what his NIL deal would have been out of high school versus what he got coming from, because I know what he got coming from Minnesota, and it is a huge deal. So that's a little bit fascinating to me. So, all right, we'll dig into some super chats. Again, I appreciate you guys as always. Jerry Roots 99, thanks for the 5. Kick rocks, fake fans. Day's an all-time great at OSU with this natty win. And for the team up north choke on a glizzy for the next 350 days, we one up to you. Yeah, I mean, it's like I told you guys, the dispatch ran that poll where it was 70% of the fan base. So if it was if you could either beat Michigan or win the national title, what would you rather do? And 70% of the people that voted said they'd rather beat Michigan. I was like, you guys are crazy. Over a national title? I mean, dude, national title, that's the ultimate. There's nothing that touches that. And that's why I'm happy for Ryan and the staff and for the players, because they can't ever take that from you. That's, when we beat Michigan, they don't put that year up in the horseshoe, but a national title they do. So that tells you all you need to know. Nevada, your thoughts? Kick rocks, fake fans. Day is an all-time great at OSU with the natty win. And the scary thing is he's Nevada always points out, he's only 45. So, I mean, he could win. I mean, if he wins the second one, he's behind only Woody Hayes. Then he passes Urban, passes Stress, and could happen. I mean, you get hot at the right time in this playoff, you can go and run that table, and he's done it. He's proven he can do it. But your thoughts, Nevada, on the fake fans and Michigan. I love this choke on a glizzy for the next 350 days because we won up to you. Your thoughts?
Well, we did, and I mean, it was the ultimate. If what gets you excited is making Michigan fans unhappy, just understand nothing made them more unhappy than us winning the national championship. I mean, you completely crushed their souls that day. It'd be way better than them beating us. Us winning the national championship completely crushed that program. So that just got to make you feel good. Now, I put a thread on our board today saying, how much capital does Ryan Day have with you now that he's won a national championship? Does this buy him a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And I'll just I'll tell you my answer. My answer was, I think that Ryan Day has proven in his 6 years here and with this latest run that he can absolutely win the big game, that he absolutely belongs in the big chair. And for me, as long as he's recruiting at a high level, so he's not disinterested and developing a good staff and keeping the program out of academic trouble and other issues like the largest cheating scandal in the history of college football, like Michigan did. I would keep Ryan for as long as he wanted to stay here, regardless of what happened with his record in any individual season or in any individual matchup or whatever. I would keep Ryan Day forever. That is honestly my answer, because I just think that you can't win like he's won and it be a fluke. You can't win a national championship, and if he's come really close before. I mean, he could have multiple national championships right now very easily. But I think when you've got a coach that's 45, he's demonstrated he can do it. He's a quarterback whisperer, and he's been able to modify his approach to move to CEO. He's got ultimate capital with me, and you will never hear from Nevadabuck, hey, we should move on from Ryan Day, unless one of those other things happen where he's disinterested, he's not staffing, not recruiting, or whatever it is. But as long as he's coaching and head into it, he'd be my coach at Ohio State. That's my answer.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you because, again, and the other flip is Nevada, like if you were the new president or the head of the board of trustees, like, and Ryan left or was threatening, like, who'd you replace him with? Like, seriously, like that's I always go back to that where it's like, if Ryan was insubordinate or despondent or wasn't into the job anymore or was interviewing on signing day like Jim Harbaugh did, like, I just don't know who I could say, okay, if we hire this guy, it is a clear-cut upgrade at head coach. I don't know who that is. I mean, if you said, Kirk, if today we could go get Kirby Smart, would you want that? I was like, I don't think so. Georgia's culture is terrible. He's a defensive guy. You guys know how I feel about defensive guys. Like, again, I respect them. I don't want them to be my head coach. Because, again, if Ryan has the doomsday scenario of Chip Kelly leaving and going to the Texans or whatever, like, Ryan, if it all hits the fan, he can still call the plays. He can still run the offense. It won't be a total tear down. And again, I don't want to make too big of a deal of it, but like, that's why I like the Matt Greene thing, because I think that he's a guy that, if you hire him, you don't have to install all new terminology. Good.
What did you just call him? Matt Greene? Is his name Matt Greene? It's not Greene.
Greene. Just remember, guys. Matt, it's Grrr, Grrr, like Gurr, then Air, AIR, and then Eenie. Greene.
Do you know what Greene rhymes with? It rhymes with gimmicky. Gimmicky Greene.
Gimmicky Greene. Well, it rhymes with the people will be misspelling his name all next year on the game toys. It'll be amazing because nobody will spell his name right, ever. Greene. But I think that when you look at keeping the terminology, I think it's a huge help. But I don't know. Like Ryan's got a lot of goodwill with me, and again, like he was always real close. Like in that Georgia game and Clemson game, I mean, he's had some just ball busting losses, which has been, I'm sure, brutal on him. But I'm glad more than anything that he got over the hump. It's over. He is now a national champion. They can't take it from him. They can't say he didn't win the big game because, there's like this kind of unfairness that comes with him being at Ohio State and the scrutiny where it's like, if he didn't win that game and couldn't win a national title, it's like they'll drive you crazy. They'll beat you to death over it. And they'll say, hey, well, he can't win the big game. And see, he'll be like Coop. Because again, I can't remember how many times people called him Ryan Cooper and he's like John Cooper and whatever. And I was like, I don't think so. I think we're a lot closer than some of those super talented teams in the 90s were. But again, they didn't have the 12-team playoff to bail them out. Again, like it's a double-edged sword because you could be like Oregon and go out in your first game of the playoffs, or you could be like Ohio State and catch fire and shred everybody. So I love the 12-teamer. It's great. RJ Ranjit Sori, thank you, my friend. Make sure you guys follow RJ's YouTube. Just search Pink Floyd piano cover artist. It comes right up to the top. Make sure you subscribe to his channel, watch his videos, give him a like. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the 10. Bama won the Natty in 2011 with co-DCs. Georgia did the same in 2022. What do you think about Walton and Guerrieri? Right, Nevada? Guerrieri, your hero.
Greene.
No, Greene was the guy that lost to Kelly Clarkson in American Idol. The first season.
Yeah,
Justin Greene.
He's great. He was little Pepper or whatever the guy.
He had the hair.
No, what he played
Are
that character in those Pepper.
are you going to tell me that you and all of your fancy Hollywood executives passed on American Idol too? We passed
No, I don't
on
know what. No,
Rockstar
I don't know what.
Energy, and then they
I
pitched us
did.
this
I
show.
did.
It was like a talent show, and it was this
No, no,
British guy and Paul Abdul. And I was
I
like, you know
know.
what? I don't want
No,
that. Push it away from my table. Give me. I
no,
need
no, no,
another.
no, no.
I need
Hold,
another
hold,
Wild Things.
hold,
Give me another. I
hold
know
on.
what you did last summer.
I told you the guy pitched the guy. Well, he didn't pitch. He told me we were having dinner, and he told me the show about they're gonna do the show and they're gonna do briefcases. And you open the briefcase, and I'm like, that's the dumbest show I've ever heard of.
Dumbest thing.
And it
Super
was Deal
super
or No
hot
Deal.
chicks.
Deal.
Super hot
Yeah.
chicks. Like, Meghan
Opening
Markle opening a
suitcases.
briefcase. You're like, that's dumb.
I didn't.
I don't want
I was
that.
like, dumb. I was like,
Dumb.
gold case. Somebody's gonna have a case full of gold.
We're gonna get Regis Philbin, and he's gonna talk about wanting to be a millionaire. And you're like, no, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. I like Plinko on. I like Plinko on Price is Right. That's it.
Plinko.
The World Series of Plinko. God, we get off topic. It's great. What do you think about
Greene.
Walton and Guerreri? I nailed it. Guerreri. And I shout out to the people on Buckeye Scoop that had a phonetic spelling for me, so I can always recall that. As Cody sees at Ohio State for continuity, given that we just had the best defense in the nation. Well, I think that, the co-DC thing is kind of a misnomer. It's like you have to have somebody who's the play caller. They can't both in the same headphone be saying, well, I want to call this and this. It's like one guy is the big banana, and then the other guy is kind of like a title that you get to make more money. It's like Brian Hartline. Like Brian Hartline was the co-OC or the OC or whatever, because Ryan Day wanted to reward him, make him more money, but he was with Wilson and he was the coordinator, but he didn't call any plays, and he was just it was a title bump. So, I mean, I think that you got to pick who's going to call the plays, and I would pick Matt. And I love OG Walt. I don't love having two secondary guys as the coordinators. I think you should have a guy in the front seven, and you should have a guy in the back as your two co-coordinators, but that's just me. But I'd be fine with it if it keeps, OG Walt happy and, rapping his little limericks that he does or whatever, his little haikus that he says, where it's like, it's like, do you want to have Big Walt as the OC? Then we can go all drink high C. Then we'll have Matty G calling the play. They say, then we'll go win the Natty with Matty. And they're all oh yeah. It's like, that's amazing. He's got his written out. I'm just like, oh my God, these things get worse every week. But I like Tim Walton. I think he does a good job, and he turned it around. And I mean, his corners are clamps, and he's got, again, the thing I like about Tim Walton is he figured out that he could get those Nike mittens for Davison to wear during practice so that he can't grab people. I was like, pretty smart. I like it. That's some OG stuff right there when you got to go out to practice with some oven mitts on like this, so you don't grab people every single play. Nevada, your thoughts on Tim Walton and Matt Guerreri, Grrreee, Matt Guerreri as our co-DCs?
I mean, that could happen. I mean, that's not the craziest thought in the world. That could certainly happen, and I think that if you feel like that continuity is the most important thing for you at Ohio State, and Ryan Day's got to make that determination: is it new blood or is it continuity? Does he like the staff that much? And frankly, would that be a staff move that keeps everybody there, that keeps everybody happy? Because sometimes the internal politics are something that you've got to overcome. So I don't think that's crazy talk, and that thought has crossed my mind more than once that could be the outcome.
I mean, it makes sense because, again, you have to figure out how butthurt is the other guy going to be if he's not named the full-time DC. So if you name Matty G, who's been here for a year, and you exiled him to Tulsa and then Indiana, and then he comes back, and then you make him the guy. When Tim Walton's been here the whole time for 4 years or whatever, it's like, is Tim going to be feeling some type of way when he's like, well, I've been a coordinator in the NFL and my group did well and these guys all respect me and whatever. Like, I don't know. I'd be fine making him a co-DC because it looks good on the business card, and you can say, hey, our defensive coordinator is going to come recruit you down in Miami and Tampa. And I think that plays well. Again, that's why Urban, I love Urban, because he is the king of titles. Like, we had more running game coordinators and associate head coaches and assistant head coaches and passing game defensive coordinators. And I mean, he made up, titles for everybody so they could get like pay enhancements. Like, what's Kirk do on Buckeye Scoop? Well, he's co-owner, but he's also the director of podcast setupness, and he's also the director of soundproofness, and he's the director of the sounds terribleness. And Kirk's got 75 titles. That's amazing. It's like, well, you just say he's got one, but when you put all those little things on his resume, it's like, it looks really important. But that's,
hey, Kirk, before you get in the next one though, like, did I miss the whole thing about you on titles? You're talking about titles, the Safe Light Field thing or whatever the thing that was at Ohio Stadium or something like that. Yeah. Had you heard that before? Somehow I missed that. Was that like, is that something that happened like years ago and I just missed it?
Is that like the official title of the stadium now?
I think it is.
Well, well, they've had that Safe Flight logo on the stadium for at least a couple years now, where they've got the big safe. It's like, the SEC has the big SEC logo. We have a Big Ten logo and a big Safe Flight logo, and our net says Safe Flight. But I'm not privy to if it's like Ohio Stadium at Safe Flight Field or something like that.
I think that's what they said. I think it's like Safe Flight Field at Ohio Stadium. Or the first time I'd ever heard that was at the celebration thing. I was watching the thing on Big Ten Network, and they said that, and I was like, they sold this. They sold a sponsorship to the stadium. I had never heard that, and I didn't know if that was just something that somehow I just missed, and it happened. I was sleeping.
Did you know that our official soft drink partner is Coca-Cola?
I did know. Yeah, that Coca-Cola. I felt like
you caught that.
The Monster Energy drinks, when the guys are carrying like the Monster Energy drink on the
and there's like girls in there's girls in like bikinis on like dirt bikes that have Monster Energy all across their little brasiers and stuff, and they get like it's temporary tattoo
thing. Yeah,
it's a marketing. It's really good. Yeah, Ross Bjork's subtle, blended right in. It's like when Coca-Cola, like they pay like Macaulay Culkin to have Coca-Cola in Home Alone or something. It's like it's just sitting on the table, and like Ross Bjork is like, well, we got Coca-Colas with the Ohio State logo on them and official national champions and Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola, and I'm just like,
well, it was like the Sopranos. The Sopranos used to have Coke all the time. You don't watch the Sopranos, like they always had product placement with Coke in there, and they always claimed that it wasn't real product placement, but it was. There's no way they had Coke in every scene.
Well, yeah, I mean, that all costs money. You know, yeah. It's like they're smart. They're capitalists. I mean, come on, what are we talking about?
Safe Flight Field. From now on, you got to call it Safe Flight Field at Ohio Stadium. From now on, if you're going to say it, say it correctly.
I'm just glad that you're allowed to sit in a suite that wasn't yours, so you could see it on the field in person. Because I wasn't sure if you'd ever see it again.
I'm gonna sell the sponsorship to my suite. It's gonna be the Barton family suite at Nevadabuck Stadium
at Nevadabuck Way, Nevadabuck Galaxy.
I am putting your name on the plaque next year. I'm telling you, I am putting your name on the plaque next year. I'm doing it.
I mean, that would be the greatest thing that's ever happened in my life. I'd give you my tree. You can have it. I take my name off it. You can be the Ken Stickney tree, the Nevadabuck tree in Buckeye Grove. I'll get the plaque. They won't even notice it because they don't look at it. I'll crowbar my plaque out and it'll say, the year that you're an All-American, 1938, when you're a senior in college. It'll be like
me and Chick Harley.
You and Chick Harley running like the triple reverse, like running the speed option. I pitched it as the house. It was really supposed to be the house that Nevada built. Instead, it's not. It isn't anymore. Thank God for Bratislava scoring though. How about that? Bayern Munich giving them up like always.
Oh you would have been a sad panda, man.
Where's Kirk at tonight? Oh, he's under the table sobbing.
He's on a bender.
He's on a bender. He's on the Byron bender. They give up a goal in the 98th minute of the game. Great. All right. MT3 Brian, thanks for the 20. Michigan is a mid-tier program minus the cheating. After the Hammer Falls, they have not won a true natty since 1940. I guess we don't count 97 because of the Co thing. Nobody has it better than the Buckeyes. You guys think Harbaugh will get punished by the NFL? I don't. Now, I could be wrong. Nevada, do you think Harbaugh's going to get punished by Goodell?
I initially thought that he would. It's gone on so long. I just don't know. I mean, I've definitely changed my opinion. I really thought that initially that it was inevitable. Now the punishment for Michigan is inevitable, and if you've been following the Ross Dellinger thing, we talked about that last night. He gave a little bit more color on the on his podcast today. He was talking about how in the NCAA and their notice of allegations, they're charging Michigan with scouting. I believe it's 58 games that they're charging with scouting. And Michigan's defense is, yeah, we scouted the 8. We admit to scouting an 8, but the other 50, because we use third parties, the rules don't apply because it was a third party. That's how you get around the no scouting rule, is you don't use a Michigan employee, and that somehow Michigan believes gets them out of the responsibility for that. He also said that the NCAA was going hard after Sharon Moore and hard after the program. So you can only imagine what kind of sanctions that they're asking for, and why Michigan hasn't settled this thing, and why this thing's going to full hearing, because they're going to get the hammer, and they're going to get it sideways.
So yeah, so if you send somebody who's not affiliated with the program to go scout for you, and you get all their video uploaded to your cloud server, that doesn't count.
It doesn't count. Doesn't count because they only, you're subject to the rules. People that you hire or put up to do it on your behalf, they're not subject to the rules, so you get around it. It was genius, Kirk. Absolutely genius.
It's like, so if you hire someone to go murder somebody, it's not really you, because you just told them to go do
you.
it.
It's not you.
It wasn't me. It was on my gun. I never saw it. I just told them to do it, and I paid for their travel and paid for everything else. Like,
you could have third parties contact people outside during the dead period or make offers or what, because they're not you. It doesn't matter, you. Kirk. It's genius. It's absolutely genius. Yeah.
We should tell Pantone, you got to make the Shadow Realm and have them, this is like the recruiting people. They can go hang out outside of, David Sanders Jr.'s high school and say, David, we are not with Ohio State, but we're really with Ohio State. We aren't anywhere, but we're also everywhere. So
we're just friends.
We're just fans. I bought my polo at Buckeye Corner, and we're sitting in front of your house all day in our car, ready to take you to Chipotle, whatever you need to, because we're not affiliated with the university. We're just here, to make sure that you're well and happy. Josh Dillon, thanks for the 5. Kirk in Nevada, is there any spot in recruiting that y'all are worried or concerned, maybe slightly about? Nevada, I'll let you go first. I think this will probably be the shortest answer you've ever given.
No, I'm really not. No. I'm really not. I mean, I'd like to see us get a good punter, but I don't think you recruit that. I think I guess you do recruit it, but I think you get it through the portal. But no, I really don't have it. I have no concerns about this. This is the deepest roster that I've ever seen at Ohio State. Even sans the guys that you're leaving, you've got a lot of great players. I think a great recruiting class coming in, and it's only going to get better. We just won the national championship, guys. So it's not like our recruiting's going to fall off the wagon now. It's only going to get better from here. So no concerns for me.
I just think with recruiting, it's like, recruiting analysts are like VCR salespeople or encyclopedia salesmen. You walk around, get this wonderful set of Encyclopedia Britannicas for your office, and you'll have all these great books that as soon as you hit print on, they're out of date. Like that's what recruiting is now. Because look, we could go sign 3 5-star offensive tackles, then you'll wait like a year, and 2 of them will be in the portal. Whoever's not in the 2 deep is going to be gone. So it's like, as much as I wish I cared about recruiting, I just don't. Because we not only do we recruit and over recruit guys every year, but we also we go after portal guys. We chase 4-star guys out for guys that are proven college players. Like, again, that happened at tackle. Zen was a 4-star guy. George Fitzpatrick was a 4-star guy. And we chased them both for 2 guys that we thought were bigger and better. Guys that had played in college. Again, especially the offensive line, I'm like, I'd take 2 portal guys every year. And it would be 2 guys that are good players, maybe at lesser schools, maybe they want to get developed. And away you go. But I just, when you have these big recruiting classes and 5 stars and 25 guys, like if you have 25 guys in the class, like 10 of them are going to transfer. It's just a new normal. And so like I wish I could get worked up about it, but I just don't. And again, I like quarterback. I mean, hell, we could go. There might be a guy in the spring portal that we're just like, yeah, he's better than Julian Sane. Let's go get him. I mean, you don't know what could go crazy. And plus, these agents are always jockeying for more money. So if Ohio State is just not sold on Julian Sane, and I'm not saying they're not. I mean, I think Julian Sane is going to be fantastic, and he played South Florida Express football with JJ and Ennis and Tate, so they've already got that chemistry going. But and the SFE guys love Julian Sane; they think he's fantastic. So, but if he spits the bit in spring ball, then Ryan can say, "Hey, well, what can we go get again?" And I say this all the time, but like 2 years ago, in the spring portal window, after he saw the Kyle McCord experience, he went after Drake May because he knew that McCord wasn't it. He didn't have the chin for the job. Really, he's really good when he's playing at bad teams. Syracuse playing Friday night football, nobody watches. Like he's awesome in that situation. But like you got played the big games, the big show, not real good. So he had to go get Will Howard, and we won a natty. So again, Ryan knows how to evaluate a quarterback. J Roots 99, thanks for the 5. Here's a real question for these cult fanatics. If we would have had Oregon season and then got boat raced like them, Frye days right here. Oh, absolutely. If we were the number 1 team in the country and ran the table undefeated, won the Big Ten, and then we get ran out of the Rose Bowl by Oregon, if you just flipped everything, it would be a disaster. And this season would have been a failure. And again, that's why I say nobody cares about winning the Big Ten. It's irrelevant. I've won the Big Ten 3 times. Nobody cares about winning the Big Ten. Winning the Natty is the ultimate. Nevada, your thoughts on that?
No, I mean, it's the inescapable truth. And, as much as people hate to hear it, the Michigan game it's another really important game on our schedule, but it's just another game, a really important one, but it's just another game. It's not it used to be the gatekeeper to everything else that you wanted. You could not lose that game and possibly attain your other goals. 2 years ago when we lost to Michigan, then we played Georgia. That was the first time that's ever happened that we still had a chip in a chair for the big prize. This year we lost and then swept the table and won it. So you have to change with college football. 12-team playoff changes a lot of things, and as a fan, you gotta evolve with it.
J Matt 217, thanks for the 5. Much love, guys. Appreciate you, my dude. Love what you guys do. Appreciate that as well. You are the NCAA. What punishments would you roll out against scum? Nevada OH.
I
mean, for the last 4 or the years that this was going on, the 3-year term, everyone's vacated. National championships vacated. Scholarship bans, bowl bans. I mean, I do multi-year bowl ban, multi-year. The scholarship bans don't really mean anything with NIL because you can always kind of backfill it with you just basically pay for their tuition with an NIL deal. But the bowl ban for sure, because that would hurt. You got to do stuff that hurts them. I would find Shawn Moore. I'd find Ward Manuel. Absolutely lose the national championship. Absolutely vacate games because you can't have someone cheat. Again, it's like Ben Johnson cheating in the Olympics and winning the 100-meter dash. Like when they found out he was juiced to the gills, they stripped him of the medal. That's what you do. If you're cheating and you win, you didn't get to win anymore. It's gone. So this is my opinion. Nevada, how would you edit my punishments?
No, I completely agree. I would have every game that they advanced scouted, I would have them forfeit. I wouldn't have them vacate. I would have them forfeit every game. Now, this isn't what I predict is going to happen, but this is what I would do. I would have them forfeit. I think they'll be vacated, but I would have them forfeit. Definitely the national championship would be vacated. And, it'd be at least a 2-year, probably a 3-year bowl ban going forward. And Sharon Moore would get a year suspension and a 5-year show cause or something like that. That's what I would do. And I think that the NCAA punishment is going to be very similar to that. I think it's going to be 3 years of vacated wins and a 2-year bowl ban going forward. And I do think Sharon Moore could get a year. I think Sharon Moore could get a year thing for, deleting all his text messages and trying to impede the investigation. And he clearly knew. I mean, they have Michigan admits in their response that Mike Hart, Jesse Minter, Chris Partridge, and Sharon Moore all knew about this scheme, and nobody did anything. And nobody said anything. The only one who said anything was a freaking intern or manager or
Yep.
whatever the heck you want to go.
Yep.
The lowest guy on the totem pole
Yep.
was the only guy that stood up and said, "Hey, this is wrong, guys. We're not going to do this." So that shows you where the leaders of the best are. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, he don't want to be tied to that. He's exonerated. He said, "I'm not doing it." Because again, if he's in this investigation and there's electronic messages and hearsay and talking, and oh well, why did you refund? Why did Connor Venmo this guy money for his rental car, or why did he Venmo money for this ticket, or Connor, why did you buy this Georgia Bulldog home game ticket and transfer it to this manager? He doesn't be implicated in that. And good for him. He saw it coming. Again, a cheap way to advance your career would be to say, "Oh yeah, I'm all in. Let's go do it, and I'll go drive down there." And again, the problem is like he probably wouldn't have advanced anything. He just looked like an idiot. But there are guys like Connor that were obsessed with rising up the ladder and becoming a coach and becoming a head coach and everything else. And so he's like, "Well, this is the fast track to doing it. I become a real asset to the program because, again, like if Nevadabuck is playing the World Series of Poker, and I say, well, hey, Nevada, I figured out a way to read people's faces and tell you what they have in their hands and cards." You'd be like, well, hell, that's pretty valuable. That'd rise up the ranks and split the pot and whatever. But, like Connor, that's what he was doing. He's like, look, I can tell you what these guys are doing. And again, when you're in that seat, because again, I've been in that seat. I've picked signs before legally, but you're only as good as your accuracy. And if you're not accurate and you miss one, Urban Meyer destroyed me over the headset one time because I missed one. Now, I was accurate the other 95% of the time, but there's one where they did something and they ran something different. And I don't know what the flip up was, but you have to be accurate. So Connor was trying to do everything he could to ensure the highest possible accuracy that he could have. And so that's why he went to that kind of crazy level where he's like, well, we can go in person and I can go to the Central Michigan game, like wear my spy glasses. I can see who the signaler is. I can see how the players react to it. I can see, do they change the signal? Like the whole 9 yards. And plus, like, I think Connor went to that game because he wanted to get just another at bat. He wanted to get another live rep at, well, let me practice reading the signaler for Michigan State, 'cause that's their other big rival. So, if he could have gone to the Ohio State versus whoever game, if they're playing Florida Atlantic or whoever, and he could go stand on their sideline and read it, he'd do it. Just say, okay, that's Keenan Bailey. Okay, he's the guy that signals the receivers. That's Justin Frye. He's the guy that signals the protections. Mike Cellini's the guy that signals the right side of the offensive line, and he can practice that. So, again, he's he's a moron, but he's not stupid. I mean, he knows what he's doing. And the problem is, like a guy like me, I really know what I'm doing, so I can decipher exactly what he's trying to do and explain it to you guys as to why he was doing some of that stuff, and again, and why it's so dangerous, and it should be punished by the hammer of God for what these guys were trying to do. Because again, when you do this and you beat teams and you humiliate teams, like it costs people their jobs. It costs the families have to move. These guys lose very high paying jobs. It's brutal. So again, and the punishment should be in line with the damage that they did to people's careers and their lives and their livelihoods and whatever else. Josh Dillon next for the Deuce. Talk about, do you think that Scum can ever salvage their image? Not with me. Nevada, your thoughts. Can Scum ever salvage their image?
I mean, ask yourself about Penn State. If somebody mentions Penn State football to you, will you ever not think about Sandusky and the little boys and Patron? I mean, I know I won't. I mean, that'll be in there somewhere.
It's Duke lacrosse. Same thing.
Yeah. You can't unring the bell, man. And it's like, for better or worse, they own that. They own the largest cheating scandal in the history of college football. And the thing is, the story hasn't even come out yet. Like, you guys know about it because you guys are Ohio State fans and we've educated you on this. But like the rest of the college football world doesn't really know. They haven't seen the NOA. They haven't seen the allegations. There hasn't been the final decision for the NCAA it bears all this out there for everybody to see. Once that happens, man, it's going to be 100 times worse for Michigan. So, yeah, I don't think there's any way that they ever get tarnished their reputation of the university. And let me tell you what, people inside Michigan feel that way. People inside Michigan feel very strongly that Ward Manuel, Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stallions, and this entire football team has completely demolished the reputation of the university, both in state and out of the state, and they really resent it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, once you destroy the block M, it's over, and that's kind of where they're at. Daryl Sean Barger, thanks for the 10. Thanks for being an ultra member as well. He says, love you guys and all you do. Appreciate you, my friend. How does Job of the Hut, aka Ward Manuel, so have a job? Not a good look that he chaired the college football playoff. Go Bucks, Nevada OH. Because Michigan's incompetent and dumb. I mean, they gave him an extension. And I'm like, dude, based upon you guys fired Juwan Howard, disaster. Now, Dusty Bay's been great. The hockey scandal that hasn't really broke that we know all about, but nobody really cares about hockey. And then the Michigan fiasco. Like, I have no idea how he's still employed. And he stands by these guys. I'm just like, I don't know. Nevada, your thoughts on Ward still being employed? Because I would have fired him yesterday. If I ran that university and I had Jim Harbaugh lying and all these coaches covering up and all these guys digging this hole deeper for the University of Michigan, I would have fired everybody. If I ran that place, new AD, new football coach, fire hose the whole thing down. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is perfectly on brand for Michigan, though. I mean, their whole thing is they're going to brass it out, pretend they didn't know the rules. The rules were opaque. It was confusing. They didn't understand. He was a rogue agent, and he didn't really get the rules. And I mean, that's what they're doing. So I think that for them, firing Ward Manuel would be like an admission of guilt, and they don't want to do that. They want to go down with the ship, that they didn't do anything wrong, that they don't even understand why they're being persecuted this way, why they're being unfairly judged. And I think that's the story that they're wedded to, and that's the one that they're going to go down with the ship on.
Yeah, I agree. All right, Nevada, let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, just lots going on, man. Lots. We're on coordinator watch. We're on Michigan watch. We're on potential transfer portal, second portal watch, and we'll start getting into winter workouts before long, because we're practically there. I mean, you're almost into February already. It seems like we just won the national championship because we just did. Longest season in Ohio State history. What a year, and we'll be here for you every night to take you along the way.
Well, yeah, and some of these guys, I mean, we're through a week. I mean, these guys are going to start working out like next week. I mean, you can give them a little bit of time off, but it's like, every other program in the country has been working out for 2-3 weeks now. And again, I know that we played and practiced, but a lot of these guys in the Woody, I'd be like, look, guys, like if you didn't play, which a lot of you guys didn't, you guys should be in the weight room and getting rolled with Mickey. Now, some of the guys that played a lot and their bodies are beat to trash, then take some time off. But the rest of those guys, they need to get grinding. So we got to keep backfilling this roster. All right. With that being said, as always, I appreciate you guys. If you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also click that little alert bell. And I appreciate you guys being on here each and every night. If you do something awesome for us, get on Apple Podcasts on your iPhone. Please click subscribe. Search for Buckeye Scoop. Subscribe to it. Easy way to help us. Do it on Spotify as well. YouTube, our 3 main platforms. If you guys want a great experience, give us a shout on BuckeyeScoop.com. We can sign up for a membership there. Absolutely a fantastic experience. A lot of you guys have jumped on there from the podcast, and it's a great place to be at. And our information has been killer. So it's only getting better. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. Thank you, Scoop family. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow night. Can't wait to see you guys. Go Bucks.